What happened after the final out of the Dodgers and Atlanta Braves game last night has sent shockwaves through the entire world of Major League Baseball and beyond. A moment that should have been nothing more than two teams shaking hands and heading to their respective clubhouses turned into one of the most disturbing and deeply troubling scenes ever witnessed on a professional baseball field. Shohei Ohtani, the face of the sport and the most celebrated player on the planet, was the target of a violent and completely unprovoked attack by a young Braves player that left everyone who witnessed it in a state of absolute disbelief. The incident did not last long, but the damage it has caused, both physically and to the reputation of the sport itself, is something that Major League Baseball will be dealing with for a very long time. Who was the young Braves player responsible? What exactly happened in those terrifying moments after the game? And why have the Dodgers taken the extraordinary step of filing an emergency complaint directly with the league? The game itself had been a fierce and emotionally charged contest from the very first pitch. The Dodgers and Braves have built one of the most intense and competitive rivalries in recent baseball history, and this particular matchup carried extra weight given the standings and the stakes involved for both teams. By the time the final out was recorded, tensions on both sides were already running extremely high. Players from both dugouts were visibly wound up, coaches were pacing, and the atmosphere inside the stadium had that unmistakable feeling of a game that had taken a great deal out of everyone involved. It was in this already tense environment that the incident occurred. As players from both teams began making their way across the field in the immediate post-game period, a young Braves player, who had been visibly agitated throughout the final innings of the game, suddenly broke away from his teammates and moved directly toward Shohei Ohtani with a speed and intention that immediately alarmed everyone nearby. Those who witnessed the moment said there was nothing accidental or casual about the approach. This was a deliberate and targeted movement toward the biggest name in baseball, and what followed shocked every single person who was still inside that stadium. Within seconds, the young Braves player made contact with Otani in a manner that witnesses described as aggressive, reckless, and completely without justification. Security personnel, umpires, and players from both teams immediately converged on the scene in a desperate attempt to contain the situation before it escalated further. The sounds of shouting and the sight of players rushing across the field sent the remaining fans in the stands into a frenzy of confusion and alarm. Many people at the game have since described those few seconds as some of the most frightening they have ever experienced at a sporting event. Dodgers players were the first to reach Otani, forming a wall around their teammate with a speed and protectiveness that spoke volumes about the bond inside the clubhouse. Freddie Freeman, who was only a short distance away when the incident began, was seen moving immediately to Otani's side with an expression on his face that combined pure shock with fierce protective instinct. Freeman later told reporters that the moment he saw what was happening, every other thought left his mind completely. His only focus was getting to Otani and making sure his teammate was safe and protected from any further harm. Manager Dave Roberts, who has guided this Dodgers team through countless high-pressure situations, was visibly shaken when he addressed the media after the game. Roberts said that in all his years in professional baseball, as a player and as a manager, he had never witnessed anything like what happened on that field after the final out. He described the incident as completely unacceptable and said that the Dodgers organization made the decision to file an emergency complaint with Major League Baseball within minutes of the incident occurring. Roberts made absolutely clear that this was not a decision made in the heat of the moment but a calculated and necessary response to an attack on one of their players that could not and would not be ignored. The emergency complaint filed by the Dodgers is understood to be one of the most serious formal actions taken by a team against an opposing player in recent MLB history. League officials confirmed late last night that the complaint had been received and that an immediate and thorough investigation had been launched. Sources within the league indicate that senior officials were already reviewing footage of the incident from multiple camera angles within hours of it occurring. The speed of the league's response was itself a signal of how seriously this matter is being treated at the very highest levels of professional baseball. Mookie Betts spoke to reporters with a controlled but unmistakable fury in his voice. Betts said that what happened after that game was not baseball. He said that every player who puts on a uniform and steps onto a professional field understands that there are lines that simply cannot be crossed, and what that young Braves player did last night crossed every single one of them. Bet said the entire Dodgers roster stands fully and unconditionally behind Ohtani and that the team expects Major League Baseball to respond with a punishment that matches the severity of what occurred. He made absolutely clear that anything less than the strongest possible disciplinary action would be a failure by the league to protect its players. The young Braves player at the center of this controversy has not made any public statement since the incident. The Braves organization released a brief and carefully worded statement late last night acknowledging that an incident had occurred and expressing that the matter was being taken seriously internally. However, the statement stopped well short of the kind of direct condemnation that many players, analysts, and fans were expecting and demanding. Many people within the baseball community found the Braves' response deeply inadequate given the nature and severity of what their player had done, and criticism of the organization continued to build throughout the night and into the following morning. Sources close to the Dodgers revealed that Ohtani was examined by the team's medical staff immediately after the incident to ensure he had not suffered any physical injury as a result of the attack. The relief throughout the organization when it was confirmed that Ohtani had not been seriously hurt was described as enormous. The possibility of their irreplaceable superstar being injured because of someone else's violent and unjustifiable behavior was something that the entire Dodgers organization found deeply upsetting to even contemplate. Roberts confirmed in his post-game comments that Ohtani is physically fine but acknowledged that what happened was a traumatic and deeply unpleasant experience for everyone involved. Former players and analysts speaking across various platforms throughout the night were nearly unanimous in their condemnation of what the young Braves player had done. Many pointed out that attacking Shohei Ohtani, the most globally recognized and beloved player in the sport today, sends a message about the culture of the game that Major League Baseball cannot afford to ignore or treat lightly. Several former players called for a suspension long enough to make clear to every player in the league that this kind of behavior will never be tolerated regardless of the circumstances or the emotions involved. As the investigation continues and the baseball world waits for Major League Baseball to announce its decision, the conversation has expanded well beyond the incident itself. Players around the league have been speaking out in support of Ohtani, with many taking to social media to express their shock and their solidarity with the Dodgers star. The outpouring of support from across the sport has been remarkable and has only reinforced just how universally respected and admired Ohtani is among his fellow professionals. Inside the Dodgers clubhouse, the mood is one of anger, solidarity, and fierce determination. Players have spoken of how this incident has brought an already tight-knit group even closer together. There is a sense within that clubhouse that what happened after the Braves game was not just an attack on Ohtani as an individual but an attack on the entire Dodgers family, and that the team's response will be to go out onto the field and perform at the highest possible level with even greater focus and unity than before. Shohei Ohtani, true to everything the world knows about him, has already shifted his focus entirely to baseball. Those close to him say he is preparing for the next game with the same calm intensity that has defined his entire career. He will not allow one person's reckless and violent decision to alter his mindset or diminish his extraordinary commitment to his teammates and to the sport that has given him so much. That is who Shohei Ohtani is and always will be. Major League Baseball now faces one of its most important decisions in years. The entire sport is watching and waiting. And when the punishment is announced, it will say everything about what kind of game professional baseball intends to be going forward. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting and up-to-date baseball news and updates.